So something that's been rolling around in me for a couple of days that I feel I need to get out is I always see Peter framed as the disciple Peter framed as not having a lot of faith, and why he the sunk, and Jesus had to just why he sunk, because he took his eyes off Jesus when he was walking in water. But in the next verse, in verse 30, talks about when he saw the wind was boisterous and he was afraid and began to sink, he cried, "Lord, Lord, save me." And so people are like, oh, he had little faith, that's why he started sinking. He took his eyes off Jesus. But on verse 31, it says, immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him. So that had nothing to do with the faith that he had. It had to do with how faithful Jesus is. And then it said to him, then Jesus said to, "O thou of little faith, why did thou doubt?" And so that's exactly what Peter had, because at that point, God had dealt, it says in Romans 12:3, that God deals every man a measure of faith. And so that's what he had, because the gift of faith wasn't available because Jesus was on the boat. He hadn't ascended and sent the Holy Spirit yet to where Peter had the gift of faith. In fact, all of the examples in the Bible were the Gospels, where Jesus talks about how this woman has great faith or this man has great faith, talking about the centurion. He was talking about the measure of faith because he was still there. He hadn't ascended and sent back the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, you have faith without measure, which is the same as Jesus. So, personally, I think that when people are preaching about the Peter sinking story, they should not focus on Peter sinking in his small faith. They should focus on the fact that Jesus immediately stretched out his hand and caught him. So it had nothing to do with Peter's faith. It had to do with Jesus' faithfulness. So just remember, Jesus is faithful regardless of how small your faith is.